Hi guys, it's Emily here from Baylily Meets again with the lovely Josh from NJAC Bars, and today in this blustery, wintry, cold January day, it's ridiculous.
It really is.
We've got the wood burner on, but you wouldn't know because the wind is literally blowing the smoke that way completely, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're today going to be talking all about the bar at your event, because let's face it, it's the best part of the party, or for me anyway, it's the best part of the party.
For a lot of people, it is, the bulk of the party is at wedding shows. We have people running at us.
Absolutely, definitely get all the taste of your wedding shows.
Absolutely, that is it.
Josh, tell us about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? How did you set up? And etc. etc.
Cool. So everyone always loves the story of how we started.
Yeah.
So in truth, I started in the back of a Clio,
Nice.
and we had like a little pop-up bar,
Yeah.
and I just went to house parties, often in people's kitchens, conservatories, gardens, weather permitting, and just did little events, and it was really, really popular, and we soon learned actually that the wedding market was going to be much better for us,
Yeah.
and people needed sort of a mobile cocktail bar.
Yeah.
Because at the time, we're talking about 5 years ago, mobile bars were a thing, but it was very much sort of bottles, cans, that kind of thing. So we've tried to change that in the local area. And so now we can offer literally anything from free bar hire, and guests just come and pay for their own drinks with cash and card. And we can offer beers, wines, spirits.
Yeah.
Cocktails is the main emphasis, but we can do everything there on in. Right through to sort of fully paid bars where guests don't have to pay for a thing.
Okay.
And then we also do little events, sort of still do the house parties and also hen parties, masterclasses, that kind of thing.
Masterclass. Explain a bit about your masterclasses. What are they going to be?
So 2018 is quite big for us. We've always done little masterclasses. People can jump behind the bar, have a bit of fun with it. This year we've teamed up with a company called Love That Events, who are also based in Salisbury like we are, and we are doing public masterclasses, so you can buy a ticket, come along, and you get 3 cocktails from that. You get a welcome drink of fizz on arrival and a few nibblers along the way as well. So you get to learn something, you get to become one of the best hosts or hostesses in the area because you know how to make all the drinks at your party, and have a really good giggle with friends as well.
Excellent. So you offer you said about many different services. What are the benefits of going with a bar company like yourself rather than doing a DIY bar? Why would you say it's good to get a bar company on board?
The main one I would say is stress. So just remove that completely. And as I mentioned before, for the potential of having us for free, you're really taking no expense there. And I mean, we were married last year in September.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And of course, I hired in my own staff. We did the whole setup. However, I can say myself, because of course I was organising it, it was still an element of stress.
Absolutely.
So it gave me a small insight into actually what brides and grooms are going through. And then you look at everything else going on as well, and you could be looking at an easy 20 suppliers at a wedding. So let's just sort of take one of those away and say, look, we're just going to do everything for you. You don't need to talk to us. We'll talk to you a year in advance and decide your menu, everything. It's all put in place. And if you've got any questions along the way, just ask. So stress is a big one. We did a blog recently, which has been a huge hit. My wife Sophia did this, called "I'm Thinking of Doing the Bar Myself."
Okay.
And this is basically a line that she heard at wedding shows non-stop. So she decided to write a blog about it. And we've had so many people get in touch saying, you know what, we were thinking exactly the same thing. We read your blog and you've explained how actually it might not be that cost effective. We might be left with lots of stock left over. We might not be able to get sale and return on all of it.
That's it.
And also, what have we run out? Whereas the owners...
That's a big thing, is worry, because obviously you're the experts in food, you know exactly like quantities and roughly. I mean, you might think that Mrs. McGinn's across the table is going to drink about 15 shots of whiskey, but they never do this. It's a long day, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So that it also puts the onus on us. It's our responsibility. So of course, it's in our package that we will overbuy everything because therefore we've allowed for it, and of course we're going to go on to future weddings. That's it. So we're not stressed about it.
So if you obviously going with the bars, the best option. I didn't do that for our wedding. We decided to do a DIY bar, which was great, very messy. And the only thing I would say is we didn't think about staff for our bar. We had a bit of a free-for-all bar. Now, what are the ways you can get around having a free-for-all bar without it being the messiest possible event possible?
I would say little stations are going to be better because you're. I hate to talk about everyone's wedding guests as sort of a mass of people, but essentially it is. You could be talking 100, 150 people, maybe more. And actually, if you try and break them up a little bit and have different stations, and perhaps have a beer station, a wine station, even sort of a gin bar.
Sorry, this wind.
Hoping everyone can still hear us okay. It's really nice to break that up because not only does it break up the amount of people, which sometimes if there's lots of people can become a little bit silly and almost become trying to impress people and jumping behind the bar, so to speak. But also it makes it simple, there's no queues at all. So I would say very similar to sort of a little pallet bar like this. No problem with doing something like this.
Alan made this bar for our garden.
Pretty cool,
it's alright, isn't it?
I like it. We've had a similar thing before as well, and it does work. And this actually could be quite cool for a DIY wedding. And you could just pop a few of these up, which is minimal cost. I think you pick pallets up for free, to be honest. And you know, then you can actually break it up a little bit. People can just come pick and choose what they
also,
like.
the Kilner jar kind of dispenser are a good option. You can pre-mix your cocktails if you're going to do it that way, and then let everyone. Then you don't have so much wastage, don't you? Because a lot of people will be like, "Oh, bottles." And
also great for arrival drinks. Because that's something that sometimes people don't consider. And they just go, "Oh, it's fine." The caterers will just do sort of prosecco, champagne, and that's awesome. Like, take advantage of those caterers because, of course, they have.
We may not make it through. The wind might take us up. We're going to see how we go.
So, of course, the caterers have got waiting teams in place already, and more often than not, they are more than happy to help, even if it is just for a small extra fee. But some of them actually say, "Well, we're here all day anyway," and then you can provide with your own drinks. Or if you wanted to do the cocktails, then look up some great recipes and then Kilner jar them. And it makes it simple for the waiting team to actually say, well, look, we can serve cocktails. We can't necessarily make them, but we can serve them. So that's quite a cool idea.
So you, obviously, you're mobile. You go to a lot of kind of marquee weddings and outdoor weddings. What would you suggest in things like glass? What do you do with glassware? Because you've mentioned to me before we talked about plastic. Obviously, that's quite a big key thing at the moment in the media about plastic glasses.
It's a huge thing at the moment. So for us, it all started earlier in the year, and we had someone inquire about a vegan wedding. To which, of course, we said, absolutely fine, not a problem. You might need to give us a little bit of guidance along the way. I'm not vegan myself, but I'm completely empathetic to it. And she sort of gave me a few pointers. I've also got a few friends who are vegan, had a chat with them, spoke to suppliers, and we've actually managed to design a complete vegan menu, which we're now offering out as a package.
That's amazing, actually.
And actually, it sounds really daft. And sorry to take a detour, but so many people said to me, well, of course it's vegan, it's drinks. And
no, it's not.
I mean, beer and wine often filtered through animal products. We really didn't realise. Also, the classic cocktail of sour has egg whites in it, of course. So, you know, that in itself is not vegan friendly.
And it's just constant being aware of things and the things you're putting in drinks because you just don't always do.
So that sort of came hand in hand with being eco-friendly as well. And then, of course, turn of this year, we're looking at all the plastic waste. It's horrible, it's not right, and we need to do what we can to change it. So we initially thought, oh, let's go paper straws. That's a great idea. We then found out that they're actually coated in beeswax, which is not vegan friendly, and also we need to save the bees. So we then looked into biodegradable, and there's some really great products. So we, as standard with our packages, we offer plasticware if you wanted us free of charge, which is of course an affordable way to do it. So we're now changing for biodegradable cups, whether it be paper or plastic, and it's going to be biodegradable, and the straws are the same. So we've gone for plastic biodegradable straws.
Because glassware is great, but if you're in a field and things get broken, often that field has got to be turned around again for either another event or livestock's going back in that field, and they don't want to be turning into broken glass.
Exactly. So with the glassware, we do offer it to people, and we offer a complete sort of what we would call trade price. So of course we get a little bit of discount being in the trade, and also we can save on all the delivery costs because we can go with the same company that the caterer is using. So we can get that in for quite a modest price, to be honest, and I would say it's worth it, conditions permitting. If you are in somewhere where maybe it's a little bit tight on headspace and people might start being a little bit clumsy and silly with it, just go plastic. It's so much easier.
And I can tell you, some of the products some of the products you get these days they don't look cheap and nasty, do they? They can be as good as glass, but not being glass. And
to be honest, with our cocktails especially, once we finish garnishing and everything, you really don't even look at what it's served in. You're looking at the beauty of the drink itself. And also one thing to consider, whether you're doing it by yourself or through a company, company is, of course, damages and breakages and losses. I mean, I don't know how many bushes in this area have glasses in, because we lose a lot. And, you know, people, they have a few drinks, they potter outside, and they don't come back with it. So, yeah, worth thinking about that as well.
Now, when we got Josh booked in for this little Baylily Meets, I got really excited because there's a bar company coming into my tent, and like, I like a good gin. I love a good gin. And then we thought, oh, we'll get Josh to come in and do some cocktails. That'd be amazing. And
We'll call it work.
Work, yeah, absolutely. Meeting. But as someone pointed out, it was like 9:30 in the morning, and that might not be appropriate to be drinking gin cocktails at 9:30, which I think is ridiculous. And then Josh also pointed out that it's dry January. So, Josh, you have kindly said you're going to come along and build us a mocktail.
Indeed.
Because I think another thing to consider is sometimes you forget your drivers and you forget your non-drinkers, and it's easy to just go lemonade, Coke, orange juice, and I think you can be a bit more clever with it, can't you?
Absolutely, and I think when you're inviting your wedding guests along for the day, you're inviting them along to this huge event. It's a ceremony, and actually you do want to allow them to enjoy it just as much as anyone else. And whether it be dietary reasons, whether it be the fact they're driving, or just an age thing, they may still want to be having an adult drink and be part of the party. And being a family-run company ourselves, much like you guys are, we're really empathetic to that. And again, having married recently, we really do get it. Even if it's just as simple as getting in some plastic champagne flutes for rival drinks for the kids and doing orange juice in it, it's still, I mean, it looks lovely.
Involved.
Exactly, and also the pictures as well. We're spending a lot of money on photographers,
we are.
And so we do actually want to make sure that the pictures are looking lovely. And having coloured IKEA cups might not be the image that we're after.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So what have you got for us?
So initially, and we're going to just throw back to the vegan theme again. Initially, this mocktail was called the Fizzy Bee. So it was a non-alcoholic take on an alcoholic cocktail called the Busy Bee. So it has lemon, fresh orange, grapefruit juice, and tonic water.
Lovely.
It did have honey in it, but of course not vegan friendly. So we're looking at alternatives for that. And so what we've done instead is take that out, and we're going in with agave syrup. So for those that don't know, agave syrup is extracted from the cactus plant and from the leaves. A lot of people think it's used to make tequila. It's actually a completely different plant, but it goes perfectly with tequila. But it's also a very good honey substitute. A lot of people are, instead of having honey with the cereals, having agave syrup. But you lose the floral notes. So we're using Fever Tree's elderflower tonic as opposed to regular tonic. So we're putting the floral side back in, and actually can't taste the difference.
If you were making that into an alcoholic drink, what would you do? What would go well with that?
I'd add gin. So yeah, all of those flavour profiles are perfect for gin, or as I like to call it, dry January. I think gin would work perfectly in January, and to be honest, we all need a gin in January. However, let's be respectful of those, and maybe one day we'll be giving it a go.
Absolutely. Who knows? Right, show us what you're doing then.
Cool, okay, so we're going to make it into this glass here. We use glasses just so people can see exactly what we're doing. So, I'm going to introduce a little tool called a Mexican elbow. So for those keen bakers at home or bartenders at home, this is an amazing tool. So you just put lemon straight in, and it squeezes straight out the bottom.
Look at that.
It's absolutely amazing, and there's no mess whatsoever. As you can see, it completely just turns it inside out. You get all the juice out. So we're going to go with a whole lemon, which is approximately 25 millilitres. Next we're going to go in with the syrup. This is the agave syrup.
Right. That's commonly available now in shops, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah.
I do sound like a BBC, like
it really could be.
Blue Peter, isn't it?
I feel like we should have sort of something running along the bottom of just where we can get everything. So that goes on a bar spoon. We give that a stir now, because once we add the ice, that's going to solidify it. It's a syrup.
And
so we're going to stir as we go from now on. So that's those two ingredients going in. Next we're going to go with freshly squeezed orange juice.
Nice.
If you can't get freshly squeezed, just go for not from concentrate. It's just going to be a much better flavour. That's it. So we're going to go with 2 measures of that, so that's 50 millilitres.
Cool.
Then we're going with grapefruit juice, a pink grapefruit juice. And it's so fresh, it makes a perfect morning drink. But also, a really clever trick, if you are going for non-alcoholic cocktails, go with grapefruit, because it gives that dry, bitter twang that alcohol often does. It's a really nice change in the drink.
Sometimes if it's just pure orange juice, it gets quite sickly, doesn't it? And after a couple, you're like, I'm done now, and it can be quite upsetting.
Absolutely. So we're just going to give that another stir to make sure the agave syrup is...
So that was 25 of grapefruit.
That's correct, yeah. So we'll take that out. As you can see, the spoon is now pretty much clean, so we've got all of that off of there.
Amazing.
I'm not going to grab ice from
Sorry,
here. No, it's fine. So we shake with ice cubes.
And tell me about ice, because everyone seems to be worried about putting too much ice into the dilute your drink. That's a fallacy, isn't it?
It is a complete myth. It's the opposite, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you add 1 ice cube into a drink,
Yeah.
it will dissolve so much quicker than 10 ice cubes.
Right.
The simple fact is science. It keeps itself cold. More ice keeps more ice cold.
Yeah.
That is why we serve on ice most of the time. And if we don't, we chill the glass first to keep the drink cold. So in this instance, I'm using the big cubes to shake on. You can get those in supermarkets now as well, purely because they don't break down so easily. The reason we shake is to get a drink as cold as possible, as quickly as possible. That's the only reason. So these are going to do a great job for us. So we're going to put that on top. No need to hit it, everything like that. And then we're just going to give it a quick shake over the shoulder.
I love it. Do you guys do a lot of flaring and stuff?
I personally do.
Amazing.
Yeah, so in the summer I went up to a great company called Mixology Group in Brighton, who initially I did my mixology courses with as well. And yeah, they taught me to flare and passed my certificate with that. Only at the baby steps at the moment, but we can do sort of basic things.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'd love Alan to learn to flare, but I would think we'd run out of alcohol quite quickly in our house.
Possibly
there
so.
Might be plastic baby bottles to start off with, rather than go to the glass.
Yeah, if you're going to practice flaring, go plastic.
Go
first,
plastic,
definitely. Yeah. Right, so we've got nice Collins glass here.
Yeah.
We're going to go with the crushed ice.
Yeah.
We're not going to fill right up to the top. So often you see sort of overflowing with ice. That's not a problem. They're not cheating out of a drink.
No.
Everything's been measured. You're paying for the alcohol.
Yeah.
It's because we want to allow enough space for the tonic to go in, because that's actually a flavour addition as opposed to just topping up. So we're going to pour this straight in. So as you can see, there's a nice space left there for the tonic water to go into. So as I say, elderflower tonic water, beaver tree.
And a decent tonic makes all the difference as well, doesn't
it? Really
it?
does, yeah.
I'm quite into my gins and stuff now, and we've got a gin globe. That's how posh we are in our house. We've got a gin globe. But the amount of different tonics that go with different gins, and it's not as simple as just getting your box down the Schweppes these days. You really have to think about what goes together.
Definitely, that is it. So, straw goes in.
Yeah.
We've also got down here dehydrated fruits.
Oh, look at you, fancy!
Yeah. So that is also a really cool way of getting a garnish. It's really, really cheap to do at home.
Yeah.
It's also eco-friendly because we're not wasting it.
No.
So if you've got a dehydrator, then just chop up a few fruits, pop them in there.
Put them in there and put in the oven really, really, really low for
Absolutely.
the entire day.
I think about 60 degrees, 65, that kind of area.
I used to do that for Christmas decorations.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great job.
Cool.
So there we have what I've called a morning spritz.
Morning spritz. Can I taste it?
Absolutely, go for it. You might want to give it a little bit of a stir. It looks pretty with the gradient. It's the same with mojitos.
Yeah.
It looks lovely. Let's give it a stir before we drink it.
That is more than acceptable, isn't it? Oh.
I like to think so.
But you can get that little kick of grapefruit without it being.
That's
and you
it.
wouldn't sip that too fast.
No.
I think like with an alcoholic drink, you'd get your drink and then sip it slowly throughout the 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You sip it throughout the afternoon, whereas sometimes on a hot day with a cold drink, you'd down it straight away, and I would take that and slowly enjoy that.
Yeah, and the concept is of this that it is treated like an alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
And I think it gives that profile. It's not a glass of Coke, it's not a glass of lemonade, which people are so often just shoved and sort of almost considered lesser people at a wedding because they're not drinking. Whereas
I've often been very pregnant at weddings all the time. Seems every summer wedding I've had a big bump and been with the sparkling water.
Absolutely. So this would change things for you.
And remind me again, what have you called that?
So we call this the morning spritz.
The morning spritz.
Which I think it's appropriate. We are in the morning at the moment, and actually it's a very tasty drink for the morning.
Amazing.
However, if you want to go a little bit boozy, 2 measures of gin into there would be a lovely drink.
Sure,
Definitely 2.
Definitely.
We always go 2 with our cocktails. So that's where you're paying a little bit extra for your cocktails as well. So it used to be actually sort of something that was a very hard rule that you had to have 2 measures minimum. Not so much anymore, but we still try and stick to about 2.
And just before we go, what is your top cocktail that you love to make the most?
We created one in autumn called the Spiced Apple Mojito.
Ooh.
And it's purely because we can't not have a mojito on the menu. And yeah, so we use spiced rum, cloudy apple juice, and then instead of soda water, we top up with ginger beer. But the rest of the ingredients are the same, so the lime,
you get that nice
sugar.
kick from the ginger.
It's beautiful. And spiced rum we use is Old Jay's spiced rum, which is the original Sailor Jerry's, and it's like liquid caramel.
Oh, amazing.
It's beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that's been of help to people. Like I said, don't forget your non-drinkers, because I think they are just as valuable to your wedding as anyone else is. And if you want to find out more about NJAC, how can they find you?
So best place really is Facebook. Is accessible to everyone. So if you just type in NJAC Event Bars, so it's NJAC, which stands for Not Just Any Cocktails, as you've seen. Also our website is just www.njac.co.uk. And as we were speaking about this morning, we will do a YouTube channel soon.
Oh, you see, everyone knows it's the main thing. Thank you so much for listening. Josh, thank you very much for coming down to us.
Absolute pleasure.
And we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We really hope you enjoyed the video today. If you'd like to see more in our series, feel free to click below to see more in our series, or
if you'd like to subscribe, then you can click just here.